My mom ran into my room, whispering, "Turn off your phone. They're tracking us." I asked who. She just said, "Trust me and hide." Minutes later, black cars pulled into our driveway. It was past midnight when my bedroom door slammed open. My mom stood there, barefoot, breathing hard, her eyes wide with fear I had never seen before. She whispered, "Turn off your phone." Now I blinked, confused. "Why?" She stepped closer and grabbed my phone out of my hand. "They're tracking us," she said, barely above a whisper. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. "Who is?" Her hands trembled slightly as she locked my phone and tossed it into the drawer. "Please trust me," she said. "Just hide." 2 minutes later I heard tires crunching outside. Then came the hum of engines. I ran to my window and peeked through the curtain. Black cars were pulling into our driveway. Subscribe now for more true suspense stories like this. And comment below where you're watching from. My name is Callie Rivers. I'm 17, a high school senior in a quiet Virginia suburb. I live with my mom, Renee. She's always been the strong, silent type. People think she's strict, but I've always admired how calm and steady she is, like nothing could shake her. That night, everything changed. It started like any other boring Wednesday. I came home from school, finished my history homework, and FaceTimed with my best friend Ava about what we were going to wear for prom. My mom was home late again, said she was working on a client breach at work. She's in cybersecurity or something. I never fully understood what she did, but it sounded stressful. Dinner was quiet. She barely touched her food. I asked if everything was okay, and she gave me the same tired smile she always does when she's trying not to worry me. "Just work stuff," she said. "Go get some rest." I went up to my room around 10. I was scrolling TikTok in bed when I noticed something weird on my phone. It buzzed once with a notification that disappeared too fast for me to read. I swiped down, but it was gone. I figured it was just some random glitch. Then the power flickered for half a second, not enough to shut anything off, just enough to make me sit up. A little after midnight, I heard her pacing downstairs. That's not normal for her. My mom doesn't pace. She's usually in bed before I am, reading or passed out from another long workday. I thought maybe she was on a call with someone from work, but then I heard her footsteps rush up the stairs, and a second later, she was in my room with that look in her eyes. In that moment, something inside me switched. This wasn't a mom being paranoid. This was something real. As I sat on the edge of my bed, I couldn't stop looking at her. Her hair was tied back messily. She was wearing sweats, and she didn't even have her slippers on. She was sweating, like she'd just run a mile. But what scared me more than anything was how serious her face looked. When she told me to turn off my phone, I thought maybe she was sleepwalking or something. But then she said the word, tracking. That's when I stopped questioning and started listening. She didn't give me any explanation. She just kept whispering the same words. "Trust me. We have to hide." I wanted to ask 1,000 things. Who's tracking us? Why now? What did she do? But her voice made it clear there was no time. I followed her to the closet, my legs shaky. My mom, my calm, logical, no-nonsense mom, was now acting like we were in a spy movie. Except it didn't feel like a movie. It felt terrifyingly real. And when I heard the cars outside, the slow rumble of tires and the quiet shutting of multiple doors, I knew we were in danger. I didn't know why. I didn't know from who. But I knew she hadn't lost her mind. Something, or someone, was coming for us. I crouched behind my closet door, knees pulled to my chest, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. My mom sat beside me, one hand on my knee, her other hand holding her phone with the screen off. I didn't know what we were hiding from yet. But I knew this wasn't a misunderstanding or a prank. Something serious was happening, and the scariest part was that I had no idea what it was. The hum of the engines outside faded into silence, but I could hear car doors being shut one by one, soft but deliberate. I counted 3, maybe 4, then footsteps, slow, heavy, on gravel, coming closer. I wanted to ask my mom again what was going on, but her expression said, "Don't speak." She shook her head gently and leaned in to whisper, "They're not here for long, just don't move." I looked down at my phone, still powered off in my hoodie pocket. I couldn't stop thinking about her words. "They're tracking us." Was she being literal? Was this about location tracking? Or did she mean someone was watching us in some other way? From outside, I heard someone knock, 3 short, hard raps on the front door. I flinched. So did she. Then, silence. The kind of silence that presses into your chest. The knock came again, louder this time. Then a voice, male, calm but commanding. "Miss Rivers, we'd like to speak with you." They knew her name. That made my stomach drop. This wasn't random. Whoever they were here for us, and they weren't guessing. Mom didn't answer. She just kept staring ahead, eyes focused, jaw clenched. The voice outside repeated her name, this time followed by something that sounded rehearsed. "We're with the Federal Cybercrimes Unit. We need to ask you a few questions." "No one is in trouble." I glanced at her in disbelief. "Federal cybercrimes?" That she did. Kind of. I mean, I knew she worked in cybersecurity, but I didn't realize she was involved in anything federal. I thought it was just a private firm. Now my head was spinning. Still, she didn't say a word, not a sound. We sat there, frozen, barely breathing, while more footsteps circled around the side of the house. "Mom," I whispered, almost inaudibly, "are they really feds?" She shook her head slowly. "No badges. No warrant. No knock on the neighbors' doors. It's not protocol. It's not them." That terrified me more than anything. If these weren't real federal agents, who were they? Outside, the man knocked again. "Ma'am, we're authorized to enter if you don't respond." Authorized? What kind of law enforcement announces that they'll break in before actually doing it? I could hear a faint buzz, like radios or walkie-talkies, but it wasn't clear. Then came the sound of our front gate being pushed open. The creak made my heart drop. Then something happened that shifted everything. My mom grabbed a folded paper out of her jacket pocket and handed it to me. "If anything happens," she whispered, "you go to this address. Don't use your phone. Don't talk to anyone until you get there. Ask for Paul. He'll help you." I took the paper with shaky fingers, unfolding it just enough to see the address. One I didn't recognize in a neighborhood I'd never been to. Why was she giving this to me now? What had she gotten herself into? Suddenly, a loud crash came from downstairs. Something, or someone, had broken through the back door. We both jolted. "They're inside," she said. "Stay here." She stood up, calm but fast, and slipped out of the closet before I could stop her. I wanted to scream, to run after her, to beg her to stay, but I didn't move. I sat there shaking, holding the crumpled paper, trying not to panic. I could hear her voice downstairs, speaking low and fast. I couldn't hear what she said, but it sounded firm, in control. Then the yelling started. Multiple voices, angry, demanding. One of them cursed. Something hit the wall. I covered my mouth to keep from crying out. Everything in me wanted to run down there, but I didn't. I stayed hidden, just like she told me. That was the moment I realized. I had no idea who my mom really was. And whoever those people were, they weren't strangers. They were here because of her, and they were willing to tear apart our house to get to her. I stayed frozen in the closet, gripping that slip of paper like it was my lifeline. My breath was shallow, barely making a sound. Downstairs, I could hear everything escalating. The deep murmur of voices grew louder, sharper. I could make out only fragments. "You know what we want. You weren't supposed to involve your kid." This wasn't part of the deal. It was like something out of a spy movie, but it wasn't fiction. It was happening in my house, to my mom. The woman, I thought, spent her days working from a laptop in her home office. A loud thud followed, like a chair was thrown or someone was shoved against the wall. Then, silence. That kind of thick electric silence that makes every part of your body scream, "Move now." I knew I had two options. Stay where I was and pray they didn't come upstairs. Or follow her instructions and get out. But how? The hallway was quiet now, but I didn't know who else was inside. I needed a plan. I tried to replay what she told me. No phone, go to the address, ask for Paul. Paul? Who was Paul? A friend? A government contact? Someone from her past? The mystery of it all made my hands sweat, but I knew she gave me that name for a reason. I waited 2 more minutes, counting slowly in my head. No footsteps, no voices. I opened the closet door slowly and crept into the hallway. Every floorboard felt like it would betray me, but I moved carefully, listening for any sound from downstairs. Halfway down the stairs, I saw the living room through the railing. It had been turned upside down. Couch cushions were on the floor. Drawers pulled out. Papers scattered. But there was no one in sight. Where was my mom? Then I heard it, muffled voices coming from the garage. I ducked into the hallway and slipped out the back door. Our backyard fence had a small gate that led to the alley behind the house. I took it and ran. I didn't stop running for 2 blocks. Only when I was safely hidden behind a row of recycling bins did I pull out the paper and study the address. My hands trembled. I knew the area, barely, but I figured I could walk there without using GPS if I stuck to main roads and avoided cameras. For the next hour, I moved like I was being watched. Every passing car made me duck. Every pedestrian felt like a threat. The whole world seemed suddenly different, like I had stepped into a reality I wasn't supposed to see. When I finally reached the address, it was an old auto shop at the edge of a commercial strip. Harper's Custom Engines. The lights were off, the windows tinted. It looked abandoned, but I remembered her words clearly. I knocked once, nothing. I waited. Knocked again. The door cracked open a few inches. A man in his early 50s looked out, face tired but alert. He didn't smile. He just scanned me up and down. "You're Maya's kid?" he asked. I nodded. He stepped aside. "Come in." Fast I walked inside and he immediately locked the door behind me. The interior was cluttered with tools, blueprints, and stacks of dusty car parts. But I could see a desk in the corner with multiple monitors, blinking softly. It didn't look like a garage anymore. It looked like a command center. "Your mom said you might come," he said, sitting at the desk. "Did they follow you?" "I don't think so," I said. "I ran most of the way." He leaned back and sighed. "Good. You did the right thing. She bought you time." My throat tightened. "Where is she? Are they going to hurt her?" He looked at me for a long second before replying. "Your mom's done this before. She can handle herself. Right now, she needs you to stay quiet, stay smart, and wait." He didn't explain what this was, but everything about the way he spoke, measured, steady, practiced, told me he had done this before too. Whatever my mom was involved in, Paul was part of it. I sat down on an old leather chair, exhausted and wired at the same time. I was in a safe place, maybe, but nothing felt safe anymore. My mom had warned me just in time. But why had she been tracking something so dangerous in the first place? And why were they willing to come after her family? This was the turning point. My life, school, part-time job, hanging out with friends, none of that would ever feel the same again. The truth wasn't just knocking at the door anymore. It had broken in. And whatever came next, I was part of it now. I sat in that old garage office for what felt like hours. Paul was silent most of the time, typing into one of his computers, occasionally checking a side monitor with a map pulled up. I kept trying not to panic, but my mind was spiraling. Where was Mom? What had she gotten herself into? And why did she trust this man enough to send me here? Finally, he stood up and handed me a peanut butter protein bar. "You should eat something. We might be here for a while." I took it, barely tasting it as I chewed. My hands were still trembling, but I didn't want to show it. Then, the sound of a phone vibrating cut through the silence. Paul picked it up, looked at the screen, then passed it to me. "It's a secure line. She wants to talk to you." I pressed it to my ear. "Mom? Maya?" Her voice came through soft but steady. "You okay?" "Yes. I'm at Paul's." "What is going on? Why did you say they were tracking us? Who are they?" There was a pause. "I don't have a lot of time, but you deserve to know. I work for a private intelligence firm. Not CIA, not FBI. We handle high-level data leaks, international surveillance, asset protection, all off the books. I've been tracking a cell that's been funneling sensitive information to foreign networks. Data tied to facial recognition systems, mobile location tracking, and even government access points. What does that have to do with me? You're my daughter. They think I stored the data on a personal device. When I refused to cooperate, they came to the house. They were bluffing at first. I never thought they'd actually involve you." I felt my stomach turn. So, the black cars. They were trying to scare me, or worse, make me talk. But I encrypted everything. They didn't get what they came for, and they won't. I've already handed the real files off. Then what now? Can you come get me? Another pause. Not yet. I need you to stay with Paul for a few days. You'll be safe there. He's protected more than I am right now. I'll contact you when it's over. Before I could respond, the line went dead. I stared at the phone, then at Paul, who gave a grim nod. She's tough, and she's smart. If she says she'll come for you, she will. But what happens to her? He hesitated, then said, that depends on what they do next. That night, I barely slept. The garage had a small cot in the back where I curled up, listening to every sound outside. Cars passing, a door creaking, a distant siren. My mind kept replaying my mom's words. They're tracking us. Around 3 a.m., I heard it. Tires on gravel. Not the road. Right outside the building. I jumped up and looked toward the monitor. Paul was already at the screen. They found this location. He said, voice calm but tense. Stay low. Go to the basement and don't open that door for anyone but me. I followed his instructions without asking questions. The basement was more of a bunker, lined with concrete, racks of gear, emergency supplies, even monitors that showed live security feeds. I watched the screen as two dark SUVs pulled into the alley. Men in black tactical gear stepped out. No badges, no markings. Paul was still upstairs. I didn't hear any gunshots, but the tension in my chest was unbearable. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run outside. But I stayed still. I trusted Paul like I trusted my mom. Then, one of the security cams showed a flash of light. A bright white flash, followed by movement on the roof. A moment later, static. The screen went black. Then the second screen. Then the third. Suddenly, the door burst open and Paul rushed down. "They're breaching. But your mom just sent a drone feed. They've activated their own counter-surveillance. We've got a window. Let's move." We exited through a hidden tunnel behind the shelves. It was dark and smelled like oil and rust. But it led to an alley 2 blocks away. A car was already waiting. Inside was my mom. She looked exhausted, her hair messy, eyes bloodshot. But she was alive. "Get in," she said. "No time." As we drove off, Paul explained the rest. The men who came weren't working for a foreign power or a random gang. They were part of a rogue operation inside the firm she used to work for. People trying to sell classified access to the highest bidder. My mom stopped them. Not with violence. With proof. With encryption. With whistleblowing. That ride felt like a movie. But it was real. My mom, once just the woman who made breakfast and reminded me to do my homework, had just exposed a global data leak and protected me from people who would have hurt us both to keep it quiet. The first few days after we escaped were the hardest. Not because we were running, but because my entire world had shifted. It was like finding out your favorite teacher was secretly a superhero or your dog could speak. Except this wasn't fun or magical. It was terrifying, disorienting, and painfully real. We stayed in a safe house on the edge of a quiet town in Idaho. The kind of place where no one asks questions and people mind their own business. My mom, Elena, barely slept. She spent her nights on encrypted calls with federal investigators, journalists, and 2 lawyers who specialized in national security whistleblowers. Paul stayed close by, keeping our tech secure and watching for any digital trace of those men from the black cars. I kept asking questions. And slowly, piece by piece, the truth became clear. My mom had been involved in monitoring international cyber threats for nearly a decade. Her job wasn't just scanning emails. It was hunting major leaks that could put entire countries at risk. A few months before everything went down, she stumbled onto something huge. An internal network within her firm that was selling access to surveillance systems. They weren't just tracking foreign governments. They were selling U.S. citizen data, phone locations, microphone recordings, even smart home feeds to unknown buyers. She took screenshots, saved files, created her own encrypted copies. But when she reported it internally, she was told to drop it. That's when she knew something was wrong at the highest levels. She made a decision most people wouldn't have the courage to make. She blew the whistle. Quietly, carefully. She shared what she had with 2 trusted journalists. That's when they came for her. And for me. What still shakes me is how close they got. If she hadn't woken me up that night, if I had gone outside or answered a call, they might have taken me to pressure her into silence. That was the real plan. Not to hurt her directly, but to make her feel like she had no other choice. Instead, she gave them no choice. The moment we got to safety, she released everything. The media published parts of it. Congressional investigators were handed the rest. Suddenly, she wasn't just a whistleblower. She was a witness. And that meant she needed protection. It took months of testimony, trials, and hearings. Some people went to jail. Others lost everything they had. But what mattered most to me was that my mom stood up to all of it. And she never broke. We don't live in our old house anymore. We moved, changed names, and started fresh. I go to a different school now. One where no one knows what happened that year. Sometimes I want to tell people. Sometimes I wish they could understand why I flinch at unexpected knocks or why I panic when my phone rings at odd hours. But I keep it to myself. Mom works as a cybersecurity advisor now. She does it legally, openly, and with people she trusts. She still carries scars from that time, emotionally, mentally. But she also carries something more powerful, peace. She knows she did the right thing. As for me, I've grown up faster than I wanted to. But I've also learned things most people never get to see. I've seen what real bravery looks like. It's not in the movies. It's not loud or flashy. It's a mom whispering, "Turn off your phone," when she knows the world is about to collapse. The last thing she told me before I went back to school this fall was, never ignore your instincts. Even if the truth is uncomfortable, face it. That's how we stay free. That stuck with me. I don't know if we're totally safe now, but I know we're stronger. And I know that sometimes, heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes they wear old t-shirts and make you pancakes while quietly taking on the world. If this story moved you even a little, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and comment below where you're watching from. Your support means more than you know.